I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, February the 16th. We're $1.30s out there for fats this week, guys. Just got to get a hold of it. They haven't had any trade so far this week. Your spot February live cattle contract is well over 129 at the close of Thursday. And that $1.30 is out there. We just got to get somebody to give it. It's time to dig in. They may be wanting to do another Friday night sale. I would tell your packer buyer, you're turning your phone off at 3 o'clock on Friday. You got stuff to do. Didn't get a chance to take mama out for Valentine's Day and you're doing it on Friday. Don't be calling me after dark wanting to trade again. But you know, just looking back at the way this negotiated cash trade has just faltered. Back in the mid-90s, when I started to work with USDA Market News for collecting fat cattle sales in the Amarillo office, every week they sold 100,000 head in the Texas feedlot areas. Every week. Every week Nebraska sold 100,000 head. Every week Kansas sold 100,000 head. And now we're lucky to get 100,000 head nationwide, let alone in the 5-area feeding region. That's just what's happened to it. There's just not enough leverage in the trade. I recently got the breakdown of purchase type fat cattle sales and last year for 2017, and they were a little bit encouraging, although just a little bit. 2016 was the first year in history that there was more negotiated cash trade than the year before. Because if you think about it, you go back in the 50s and 60s, and 100% of the fat cattle sold live, usually on the bricks in a stockyard. We got into the 70s, we started moving our feedlots down into the more arid climates of the Southwest and things. We started getting into this contract formula type stuff, and it just eroded our negotiated cash trade. And every year there was less negotiated cash trade. But in 2016, mainly because the market was so good and guys were trying to get in on that cash market. The 2016 was the first year that there was more negotiated trade than the year before, and now 2017 was the next, although not very much. But nationwide in 2017, 25.7% of your fat cattle sold negotiated cash. That compares to 25.6% in 2016, so just 0.1%. But in the 5 areas last year in 2017, 26.8% of the fat cattle sold negotiated cash compared to 26.3% in 2016, so 0.5%. Texas is still way down there. Texas, although it was up quite a bit from 2016, but still less than 10% of all your fat cattle in the Texas feedlot area sell negotiated cash. It's 9.3%, up quite a bit from the 6.4% in 2016 and just 2.6% in 2015. So it's not the guys drive around Amarillo with the TCFA stickers neatly placed on the back of their wife's Escalade that's really doing this negotiated cash trade. Kansas had 21.9%. They were actually down in 2017 compared to 23% in 2016. Nebraska was down a little bit, 41.3% sold negotiated cash compared to 42.1% in 2016. Colorado was up a little bit, 16% compared to 13.8%. And the Iowa, southern Minnesota area was about the same at 51% of their fat cattle sold negotiated cash. So if you look at who's establishing this fat cattle market, it's not our most well-versed, most politically connected big feedlot guys that are doing it. You know, it's not the guys with the sport coats on at the Cattlemen's Convention that are doing it. It's a handful of old school, hard to change type guys that are usually third generation feeding cattle, and some of the guys that watch their dads and their granddads load them on the train and send them to Omaha or Denver or maybe even Chicago. It's guys like that that are still hanging on. Your big corporate feeders, they've all got some kind of a sweetheart deal with one packer, and that's the way they do it. A few of your guys that have a feedlot or few, and they sell them, they may haggle on the price, but it's only once a month or once a quarter, because they're going to get the top of the market, whatever it is established, plus a little bit of sweet money underneath the table for selling their whole list to one packer every week. But it's what it is. It's our guys that are feeding their own cattle, our farmer feeders, the guys that quite frankly are more worried about what their corn's going to bring or what their fertilizer is going to cost rather than what's going on in the cattle market. But those are the guys that are establishing this fat cattle trade every week. And it's kind of like having the freshman team out there playing a football game with the varsity guys cheering them on from the bench, because and it's going to end up, they're going to end up getting paid off of whatever that negotiated price is. But it's really, you know, it's what I call the tail wagging the dog, and it's a sad way to see this this industry go to. But it seems like maybe, you know, just 0.1%, you know, that's not much to hang our hat on, but at least we're maintaining it. We're not losing it in big bunches like we did for so many years during the 90s and the 2000s. But I'll get off of that soapbox. But you look at the board on Thursday, April live cattle up $2.02. The board's been really strong this week, all week long, ending with April on Thursday at 127.25. February spot live cattle up $1.62. Like I said, closing on Thursday at 129.27, and we're in that spot month pretty deep. Like I said, by all rights, the fat cattle cash trade should be $1.30. You know, there'll be a push to try to crater the market on Friday here, but let's hope they don't get it done. And if they do get it done, just like I said, turn your phones off and dig your heels in. But March feeder cattle up 165 to end the day on Thursday at 149.82. April is up $1.87, with April feeder cattle futures now at 152.30. Like I said, no fat cattle trade so far this week. Wanting another hush-hush trade after hours on Friday night, but there has been just a trickle of trade. There was a few loads turned in on Wednesday at 128, but really we have not established anything as far as that goes, and I would say that 130 would trade a lot of cattle if you guys want to do it. But box beef cutout values should be starting to turn back positive seasonally here in the next few weeks, but they've been pretty good so far this week. Choice cutouts 209.04 on Thursday, up $1.23. Selects at 205.14, up 163, and a real narrow spread of $3.90 on your choice select spread. Your slaughter for the week so far, 460,000, not too bad. We're hoping for a big Saturday, so that would help quite a bit. Your slaughter 460,000, that's 4,000 less than the same week a year ago, and 21,000 more than a year ago. But you look at your feeder markets, your RealTime Index late on Thursday was sitting at 148.13. That's based on an 800-pound steer. That's not too awful bad. You look at your big sales on Thursday. Pratt, Kansas had 4,400 head, firm to $3 higher, and spots even more than that. Salina, Kansas had a good sale. You look at your automated market report on Cattle Market Central there, you see that most of the weight groups were firm to $2 higher on steers, spots up to $5 higher on 8-weight steers, and your heavier steers did rebound a little bit from the middle of the week with that board being so strong on your out fronts for your fat cattle late in the week here. But you look at some individual quotes. Paris stockyards in Paris, Kentucky, 10:30 on Thursday morning, so 55 head of steers, weighed 807 at 149.60. That's in Paris, Kentucky, guys. And Pratt, Kansas, 2 o'clock Thursday afternoon, sold 68 head of steers, weighed 772 at 153.5. That's your feeder flash for Friday.